want to offer my deepest gratitude and blessings for the work that you've chosen to do, and acknowledging the bravery in what you are sharing and bringing forth at this time. You're welcome. I just want to feel called to share with everyone that at this time, coming together in community in whatever ways we can with good intention and with prayer is one of the most powerful movements that can heal the world at this time. And the inner vibration, which was touched upon in this movie, then the thoughts that we're creating, it starts with that. And so I really appreciate that message as well. I'm interested in hearing your insight, intuitions about the relationship between the evolving movement that's happening in a totally non-localized way, decentralized way, and then the evolution of government itself. Are you familiar with the 99% Declaration?
I don't think so.
It's really, you guys should check it out on my Facebook wall. It's really interesting because some people basically from the Occupy movement all across the country have created this genius idea for members of the 99% from each district in the country to elect 2 people, 1 male, 1 female, to gather the week of July 4th in Philadelphia. And there'll be, I guess, 800-ish people representing the 99%. And the gathering will happen to decide upon what amendments, agreements, decisions, rules, laws must be passed in this country that are aligned with what we naturally know to be right, that are aligned with inclusion and natural law. And this will be presented to the White House and the President before elections. And the idea, and there are 21 proposals that have already been created, and they're going to be addressed and kind of revised and refined by these representatives that week. And my whole body gets this like really intuitive, yeah, like this is really... So we're doing something really cool here, and what's interesting about that movement is it's bringing forth something that we're creating and presenting it to the government. And I see the stream of, on the national level, change happening, but it's like the rate at which change is happening, the level of consciousness is not at par with what we're knowing. So I'm wondering what sense, intuition, ideas you have about the relationship between change actually happening from within the government level versus sort of the other path, which is like we're just creating something new, and how those two things interact.
Yeah, that's a fascinating dynamic. I don't carry much confidence about the political system being changed by the political system. I don't see much evidence in history. I don't see the motivation. In the film we mentioned briefly and have that little animation about the 3 stages of transition. And I'm really inviting people all over the world into that conversation about, okay, let's see how much we can actually create a business plan for getting from here to there. And in order to get from here to there, I believe we need to have a sense of where there is. You know, just like I think in an acorn, there's already the whole metaphysical plan for the oak tree, and then it fulfills it. And that's why I think that it's so important that we engage in terms of actually creating a whole new way of relating, rather than tweaking this old dysfunctional system, because as long as that's what we're committed to, they've still got us. You know, that while we're doing that, the politicians aren't going near really cutting the military budget or getting rid of the Federal Reserve from the right or the left, and that's no coincidence or accident there. So what I suggest is 3 overlapping, really simultaneous tracks or stages. I call them stages because the first one will die out, and then the second will die out, and hopefully the third one will keep going. But they all start at the same time. And the first one is focusing, as so many of us are, on trying to I can't even say restore, because the integrity, I'm not sure when it was in our current systems, that it's really bringing integrity to our current systems. And the clearer we get on that, and I've heard already, just in less than 24 hours here, different people I've talked to in different workshops that I attended, so many movements that are happening, specific actions, which are going to put politicians on the spot during these next few months and make them have to choose about things that they didn't used to have to even talk about, even if they were aware of them. So I really support that kind of political activism, especially as it's driven by justice and economic transparency and liberty. But I think ultimately, as long as we allow that political system to stay in place, as I mentioned before, I don't think we're going to get there. So as we're doing that one, I think simultaneously, I think it's critical to be shrinking government, so the government can't go around making up more and more and more rules, and then taking people's stuff and doing all the things that they do. So we talk in the film about shrinking it down to just the protection of individual rights, and then the commons. The commons, I think, is going to be an absolutely fascinating question, because that's where the interface with individual rights and shared water and air and all that stuff really comes up. And there's no clear, hard and firm answers to that. But I think as that becomes a topic of justice, that can get sorted out as long as the fundamental individual liberty is being honored. So politically speaking, a lot of people ask me, well, what do you recommend for these next election? And not being a really political person myself, I mean, I grew up as a completely unconscious Republican in Ohio, because everybody around me was. And as I started questioning and moved to California, I became a committed liberal Democrat for 30 years. And then as I started seeing that none of that was working either, in so many ways, I started looking deeper. And it was actually my own son who introduced me to not only a lot of aspects of the conspiracy and how money really works, but who introduced me to this whole liberty thinking. And when I saw it, it was like the third major revelation in my life. The first one was Aikido, because I had done other martial arts, and they were all about destroying someone else to protect yourself. And when I found Aikido, it was like, oh, I could finally commit my spirit 100%. This is whole. This is protecting even the person who's attacking me. And then the next one was when I found the free energy. It's like, oh, we don't have to smash atoms and risk life as we know it. We don't even have to pollute the skies and try to steal other people's oil, We actually, as long as we mimic this pattern, it gives us everything we need as long as we don't violate it. So it's like, oh, that's number two. And number three for me was this whole liberty realization that the torus at the human level, the wholeness at the human level, is not primarily the group. It's secondarily the group, but it's primarily the individual. And unless we're committed to protecting the individual, we won't be able to thrive as a group. So, politically speaking, my best answer has been, again, principles-based rather than politics-based. Frankly, the only two major politicians that I see who could do a lot very fast are Dennis Kucinich and Ron Paul. Number one, because I think that they're both brilliant, especially Dennis Kucinich. I've had a chance to spend some time with him, and he's just a phenomenal mind and heart. I don't agree with a bunch of his politics, and I don't agree with a bunch of Ron Paul's politics, but both of them are committed to stopping these wars of aggression and eliminating the Federal Reserve. Well, that'll give us about $2 trillion a year to work with. So given that, then if our goal is getting to a liberty world, then we don't have to violate, we don't have to create new violations along the way. We don't have to create new taxes. So in the transition, that money just freed up from what's already being funded will take care of healthcare and the environment and housing and all of this stuff. It will be easily taken care of and then hopefully obsoleted to where people are prosperous enough and healthy enough that they can go back to taking care of themselves and taking care of each other, which my research shows people do much better than counting on the government to do it. That's a scam where the government takes more and more power, doesn't really deliver for the people, and then hoards the money. I mean, it's become pretty obvious if anybody wondered about it before. So I think that the transition to that world is going to be both political and grassroots, but it's going to be primarily driven by the grassroots, because grassroots really means starting with individuals. One of the things I love about this group is I haven't met a single person since I've been here who isn't really thinking for themselves, and that's unusual. I just love to be around people who are willing to do critical thinking and acknowledge what they don't know, acknowledge what they do know, and then engage in the kind of conversation which is creating what we can all know next.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know if you want to address it directly. I just want to... Well, okay. I'll
talk to me after.
Thank you.
And also, I want to be sensitive to the time, because I want to spend a little bit of time on this handout. Mary, what